week. Last week, the week after, next week, you're all going to be dealing with the same subject. The subject is Tuma v'Tahara. Tuma means impurity, ritual impurity. Tahara means ritual purity. And this is, as the Rambam says, and as all commentators discuss and explain, this is an area which is really not for human capacity, not for human intellect to grasp, to try to understand. It is above and beyond us. But sometimes, and many times, even though we don't have the reason, there is a lot of moral lessons. There's a lot of philosophical lessons. There is a lot of personal lessons that we can take and we can adapt and we can relate to our lives when it comes in learning this very subject. For example, when we're talking about the impurity of the dead, everybody understands the mitzvah to be at a funeral. Everybody understands the kindness that you share when you are coming to someone's funeral, especially the person who died is not even going to say thank you. You're not going to get any recognition for being there from the person that you are escorting to his final rest. It's a big mitzvah. It's a community opportunity. It's amazing opportunity to participate in such an awesome concept like funerals. And yet, you walk out of the cemetery, you are ritually unclean. Today's day and age, it doesn't mean much on a practical level because there is not much we can do to get rid of it. This is not for showers, it's not even for mikvahs. You need much more than that. But in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, of the temple, it involved a lot of effort to get rid of that state of tumah. And all the verses in the Torah provide us with more and more information and detailed instruction how to deal with any type of contact that one gets with the impure, with the tumah. So this is a common concept. Matter of fact, the going to the mikveh was a very common practice in the days of the temple. After the 6-day war, they conquered and they regained, actually, you shouldn't say they conquered, they retook the old city of Jerusalem, and the different archaeological groups began digging underground of different houses. And one of the things that you can see today, if you visit the old city of Jerusalem, you see that many, many houses were having mikvahs. We're having ritual bath, stairs going down from the main floor into a ritual bath, into a into a personal mikvah. They assume that many of those houses had kohanim, priests who lived in those houses, and being that they had to be constantly prepared to the service in the temple, so they had to make sure that there was a mikveh available for them to be able to go in and immerse themselves and then continue to do the service that they need to do at the Beis HaMikdash. Israel is filled with mikvahs. Even in Metzada, which was really an escape place during the Roman invasion, they also have beautiful mikvahs, which was domed by those people who were fighting for their lives and not knowing how long they're going to be living, as we all know what their end was. And yet they found it important and they put a tremendous emphasis to make sure that there is a ritual bath, a mikveh, for family life, for personal life. This is the way Jewish life always centers around mikvahs and ritual bath in order to make sure that we are in a state of purity. Comes this week's Parsha and talks about a certain type of impurity which occurs at birth. At birth, a woman is giving birth. Can't be anything greater than giving birth. You are joining God in the creation of humanity by giving birth to a child. And the Torah begins this week's Parsha right away. The first discussion in this Parsha of Tazria, chapter 12 in the book of Leviticus, starts by Daber Hashem el Moshe Lemor. God spoke to Moses, saying, Daber el Bnei Yisrael Lemor, speak to the children of Israel, saying to them, Isha ki Tazria v'yolda zochar, v't'ama shivas yomim, kimei nidas dvoiso titmo. If a woman becomes pregnant and then she gives birth to a male child, Zachar, she becomes ritually unclean, ritually defiled, and remains so for 7 days. Okay? Which is the same degree of impurity as she was when she had experienced her menstrual flow, her monthly period. So she is a nida. Here too, she's the same thing, even though this is just birth. This is like kosher blood coming out of birth. Then she has to wait another period of 33 days, which is also in a state of impurity until she can finally go to the temple. This is if she gave birth to a boy. What if she gave birth to a girl? Says verse 5. At that time, she actually becomes double the time. 2 weeks is she considered ritually unclean. And in order to get into the temple, not 33 days as a male, but 66 days. Double the amount of days she has to wait until she's able to regain her tahara, as verse 5 said. And only after that time period, she has to bring a sheep as an offering. And listen to that, verse 6. When the period of the purification has been completed, whether the 40 days for a son or 80 days for a daughter, then the following morning, which is on the 41st day or the 81st day, then Tavi Keves ben Shnosei le'oila. She must bring a sheep in its first year as an ola, as an all burnt offering. Uben Yona otor lechatos, in a young pigeon or a turtle as a sin offering. El Pesach or El Moed, to the entrance of the tent of meeting. Can you tell me what sin did she do? That she gave birth to a boy or a girl? That the Torah says that not only she's impure, and not only does she have to wait a time period, a long time period, before abling to come into the temple, once she wishes to get into the temple, she has to actually bring a special offering. One is a ola, called a burnt offering, and one is a chatos, a sin offering. Rebbeinu Shalaylam. What did she sin? Anything wrong she did by giving birth can be greater and no greater mitzvah than actually giving birth. And especially you obviously may wonder what's going on over here between the boys and the girls. For a boy, she's only waiting 7 days and 33. And for a girl, she has to wait 2 weeks and 66. What is that? That woman, for giving birth to a girl, it's somehow your time period is becoming prolonged, as if maybe she needs like a double state of impurity just because she gave birth to a girl. What are you trying to punish here? Because she gave, she gave birth to a girl. What's wrong? Obviously, all these questions which all commentaries are trying to understand and to try to get some insight into what the Torah tells us. Regarding, first of all, the question of the sin offering, this is actually a question which is being asked in the Gemara. The Talmud, I will tell you exactly where it is. The Gemara is, in Talmud Tractate Nida. The Gemara says that the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai asked him that question. Sha'alu talmidav et Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai mipnei ma amra Torah yoledet mevi'ah korban. Why did the Torah say that a woman giving birth has to bring a sin offering? What did she do wrong? It's not only our question. As the student of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, this great sage and his wonderful, amazing student, had a similar question. And Amar Lahem, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai responded to them that the reason that she has to bring a sin offering is because at the time of labor and birth, and the pain is so challenging, and she goes through such difficult stress, she takes an oath and she screams and says, I swear, God, I will never give birth again. Do you remember that? I don't know.
No.
Okay, that's why you never gave birth. So that's what that korban is being brought, because the mitzvah of giving birth is so great and so important that even an instinct of thought that maybe no more, I can't do it and I will never do it, is already considered something to be atoning for. Which, by the way, I maybe shared with you probably once a story which happened right after the Holocaust. In one of the DP camps was Erev Yom Kippur, the night of Kol Nidrei, when the great Hasidic Rabbi of Kloisenberg, Rabbi Yekesiel Yehuda Halberstam, who was very famous for his re-encouraging and rebuilding the Jews who were at the DP camps and coming out of the concentration camps and lost family and personal family and friend. He himself, the Rabbi of Kloisenberg, had 11 kids before the war, and they all died by the Nazis together with his wife. He was taken to labor work in the ghetto of Warsaw, and that's how he survived. But he was a rebbe, and he was a tremendous believer, and he had the courage and the strength to also inspire others to keep their belief and continue life. I can tell you, one of the young men that he inspired to continue life was my own grandfather, my father's father, who also was in a DP camp, last coming out from the concentration camps, where he lost his wife and 2 children. He was a young man in his early 20s. And with the Rebbe's courage and inspiration, he right away made a choice to get married again, which he married my grandmother. And 9 months later, my father was born. My father was born in a DP camp in Germany. In 1946, he was born right there in a small DP camp called Pocking, which was not far from Munich. And till today, in his passport, in his Israeli passport, it says born Poking, Germany. I don't think there's a city called Poking. It was a DP camp, and that's where he was born. So this Rebbe of Kloisenberg, Rabbi Alberstam, came before Kol Nidre. People gathered around them, and they wanted to hear some inspirational words, like the custom is to speak before Kol Nidre. And he spoke about Yom Kippur, and he spoke about needing to do tshuva and apologize God for what we did. And somebody in the crowd gets up and he says, Rebbe, what are you talking about? We need to atone, we need to do tshuva. Look at us, skin and bones coming out of Auschwitz, Buchenwald, Majdanek. What are we to tshuva for? What are we needing to ask God for, to forgive us for? Who had the courage, the time, the ability to do something wrong, to sin? Was redst du? So the Rebbe of Kloisenberg responded, and he said, you can't forget, there were some times during the very difficult years that lying in our bunks, whatever beds they were referred to, we were keeping in our mind and thinking to ourselves, I hope that God causes me not to wake up tomorrow morning. I wouldn't dare take my life. That's called suicide. You're not allowed. But some people did. We know many people never went to the fences and allowed themselves to be lecturized in order to avoid the sorrow and the pain and the difficulty. So we didn't do that, but in our mind made an instinct of thought, no, I hope I die tomorrow. Who needs it? I can't bear it anymore. For that very thought, we need to do tshuva for. That's what we need to ask Hashem to forgive us. That was the feel, the delicate feel of this great Hasidic Rebbe, Rabbi Alberstam, which I even remember. I saw him myself a couple of times. He lived in New York, in Union City, New Jersey, but then he also built a beautiful neighborhood in Netanya called the Tzanz, Kiryat Tzanz neighborhood. And he built the famous Liniado Hospital in Netanya. It was his own personal project. When he saw that in Israel, the doctors are striking, used to be strikes in the 70s, in the early 80s, he says, I'm going to build a hospital, and the condition to work in the hospital is that you can never strike. And this is what the Niado Hospital is famous for, that there is no strikes in the Niado Hospital. This is one of the credentials to be able to work in that very special good hospital. He had other major projects that he had accomplished. And he actually passed away, lived many years in Netanya. He's buried in Netanya. That was the city, the famous neighborhood called Kiryat Tzanz in Netanya. Either way, this is the idea over here, what some Mefarshim are saying, what the Talmud is saying. The Talmud says that his woman, by giving birth, also was considering the idea, oh, I never do it again. I don't want to deal with that. This is not something I'm ready to ever adapt. So for that thought, even though she would continue giving birth, which most women do, yet the thought of rejecting this opportunity of partnering with God in the mitzvah of giving birth to children is what she brings that sin offering for. This is one of the Talmudic passages. The Gemara says, and it's actually brought out in different commentaries, that also the idea of giving birth, being pregnant, this is actually a philosophical approach, which is very interesting. The Gemara doesn't say it, but it's brought down in different commentaries. I think Abarbanel might be the one saying it. A woman who is pregnant and is giving birth, she is on a very high level, the level of partnering with God. God is a creator, and you are not creating life. So for 9 months, this woman is carrying in her stomach a fetus which breathes, heartbeat, ready to become a living entity. So at these 9 months, this woman is really on a high. I'm a partner with God. I'm about to bring life. And they keep on filling their stomachs. Oh, there's a kick. There is a this, there is a that. And there is a big excitement. I'm talking in healthy situations, selfless people, people who understand what's the opportunity of bringing children into the world. So they can imagine there's a tremendous simcha, a tremendous courage, which these women have while carrying the fetus in them. They're excited to be pregnant. They're excited to bring life. And then they finally get to the point when the heaven opens up and they are bringing a living person to the world, the cry of the child. And a moment after, that's it. I'm back to normal. I already produced life, and now what am I? Garnished. A schleppy mother who has to nurse, change diapers, get up at night, sleepless nights, taking him to school, thinking how am I going to educate him, vaccines, nicht vaccines, don't ask. You all remember what it is. So some philosopher, I think that Barbanel says, the woman experiences kind of downfall. Here she was at this height of the peak of being a partner with God, bringing and producing life, and now she's almost like a nobody. She's like anybody else, like going back to normal. That experience is very close psychologically and perhaps philosophically to the experience of death. What is death? You are alive, you have a neshama, you have a soul which breathes within you, and then the soul departed and separated itself from the body. That's it. That's what death is. The separation of body and soul. That's the definition of death. There's no other definition. The definition is the soul said goodbye to the body says goodbye to the soul. It was nice to meet you for 120 years. Now let's each one go to its back to its place. The body returns to where it came from, and the soul goes back and reunites with its source, with godliness. And that's what brings about the impurity of death. Why is there an experience of impurity when it comes to death? Because till now you were attached, you were full of godly energy. And now there's a separation. So that separation causes kind of detachment of real life. And when there is no life, is when impurity kicks in. Life is the connection with soul. When life gets out and there's no connection with God, then is when the cockroaches come out. It's dark and they start attacking. That's what impurity is. Giving birth and the postpartum, meaning after birth, is a little similar. Giving birth is being one with God. You are partnering Him. I am bringing life. God, you give that part, I'm giving that part, and together we are doing it. You are godly. You are divine. After birth, it's over. God forbid, there is a very terrible disease called postpartum depression. And we know that they call it a chemical imbalance, and there is this help and that help in medicine, and Baruch Hashem, how world develops, people are able to regain their strength. and even able to give birth to more children despite going through those difficult, terrible, let's call it disease. What is it coming? So you can call it a chemical imbalance. Fine. Everything is a chemical imbalance, but every chemical imbalance also has something to say about our souls, something to say about our souls, something which is about our energy. And the answer is sometimes very simple. It's like coming back after awaiting a whole exciting experience, and you looked forward for it until you conceived. Was one journey. Doesn't always happen kaplap. Sometimes it takes time. And you try again, and you try again. And here you have to go to the mikveh again, because again you got your period, and again nothing worked. And you went on, and finally, Baruch Hashem, you made it. Or it was a mental decision, the planning, which exists in some circles, until you finally set your mind up, okay, I think I'm ready to do it. And you did it. And then you had another journey of 9 months. And every journey goes through with a lot of anticipation and excitement and desire. And it is, you want to see, you want to be the one who can prove yourself that you can do it. I brought a child to the world. What can be greater? And yet, comes to a point, it's over. Like coming back after a big wedding, a big vacation, you were planning, you went shopping, and the dress, and this dress, and the hair maker, and the cock maker, and the makeup, and the schmakeup, and the breakup, and you did, and you planned, and you were so much, you went around with your notebook, and you took notes, and you spoke to the party planner, and everything was Baruch Hashem. It took you months, and it was nice, thank God. All the preparation was really worth it. It really made it happen. There was no accidents. There was no misunderstandings. There was no disappointments. Everything worked out, Baruch Hashem. But then you come home, and it's over. Yes, it's over. Yes, it's over. Yes, it's over. It's over. That is called falling down, dropping. At some level, you can call it dying. You're not dying completely, but you have a little experience of some type of death. Okay? You can even relate to it as death. You're not excited, you're not energized, you're not motivated, you're not, rejuvenated. You feel like, schleppy, well, what's now? And what's now? So you're dead. You in the cemetery are the same. Not completely, but this is what it is. So some commentators say that that is the death experience which has to do with birth. And therefore, just like death, we understand, brings impurity because you separate from life, so too, giving birth is the end of an era, the end of a period, the end of a time which you were really alive in carrying that living entity into your stomach, and that finally ended. Mazel tov, it ended in a nice way. There is a baby, which is a whole new set of life. But that life experience is over. Many people, I heard, even though they gave birth, and after giving birth, there's a lot, they miss the pregnancy days. Okay? Even though it's not so comfortable in the stomach, and lying on the stomach, and on your back, and on your side, and you're hot and you're cold, and you don't know what you want a pickle, you want ice cream, you want both together, whatever it is. But yet, they miss that there was a certain feel of being that miniature sanctuary, which is carrying that future life for society. And therefore you bring the carbon. So we have an answer why a sin offering. We have an answer why an offering altogether, why impurity. So we have an answer for those questions. What we didn't answer yet is why is it the double time for the girl?
Right.
That wasn't answered yet. So there's an interesting insight I heard recently, actually. It's not let's put it this way, it's not a practical answer, but it's an answer which carries some insight, something to think about. Like we spoke, when a woman gives birth, she has to bring korbanot, she has to bring offerings, she has the time period that she waits until she gets into the temple. And it is important that the people who watch you doing all that realize that you are actually not just okay with that, but you're really excited about your experience. And I will explain it in a moment. But I want to first say what I want to say. When you give birth to a daughter versus giving birth to a son, you know what's going to happen to that daughter. She's also going to give birth to one day. Just like you are a mommy, she is going to be a mommy. Your boy is never going to be a mommy. He can be a great boy, but he's never going to give birth. And is never going to experience what you had experienced. But your daughter, God willing, will be going through exactly what you went through as a mother. You gave birth to her, and she is going to give birth to her child. So the important thing is that that daughter who is born to you, even though she's a little baby, but the message to hear is that what I went through giving birth to you, which therefore I needed to wait a time period to regain my purity, for therefore I needed to bring an offering, a sin offering. I want you to know how this is important to me, and therefore I am going to actually not only wait the minimal time, which we wait when my boy gives birth, when my boy was born to me, I'm going to double it. So by doubling it, the child realizes that his mother is really, really into it, not just feeling kind of, Nebuch, I had to do it. And let me explain it a little bit. Now, getting ready for Pesach. What is the most important thing by the Seder? I know that by the Seder, we're going to eat matzah, which is a biblical obligation. We are going to eat moror, which in today's day and age, when there is no temple, the moror is a rabbinic obligation. We are going to follow all kinds of interesting customs. What kind of customs? We're going to dip a little of vegetable in salt water. Why are we doing it? Why are we dipping a vegetable in salt water? No. I know that everybody talks about the salt water looking like tears, and that's the tears what we were crying during the work in Egypt. That doesn't actually say in too many places. What it does say in many places is in the Talmud that you take a little bit of vegetable before the meal starts, which is you just made Kiddush and you're still going to read the Agada, so you didn't start eating yet. And by eating it, your child is going to look at you and say, why are you eating vegetables before the meal? We didn't start eating yet. We understand that a vegetable salad comes during the meal. But if you're not ready to eat matzah, you're not ready to have gefilte fish and soup served, What are vegetables doing here now altogether? So he's going to ask a question. And this is exactly what we want. We want the child to be aroused to ask questions, to be curious, and to express his curiosity tonight at the Seder night, which will lead them to also ask what happened exactly and why are we here? And you're going to be able to respond to him the story of the Exodus. This is the main reason and Talmudic reason and recorded by Maimonides and Shulchan Aruch why we eat a vegetable dipped in salt water. That's it. So to make it unusual and to make it weird and strange, so he's going to ask a question. The same thing, we're going to take the moreh later. We're going to dip it in charoset. It's a custom. Moreh is in the Torah. The Torah tells us that we want you to remember the bitterness of your enslavement. So that bitterness, in the times of the temple, it was biblical because it was eaten together with a paschal sacrifice. Today's day and age, it is rabbinic, but it is clearly coming from the biblical obligation of moreh. Why we dip it in charoset? That's a custom. The custom is because if we're talking about bitterness, let's remember what the bitterness was around. Why was it bitter? And you're going to learn that the bitterness was because they enslaved us with making bricks. And the charoset looks like mortar, which is the tool which is the material that you make bricks with. So clearly here again is a custom. When it comes to ask the questions, the night of Pesach, Man Ishtano, the Chabad custom is, the Hasidic custom is, that the first question you ask, why are we dipping tonight twice? While all year, we don't have to dip at all. That's the first question. The second question is going to be, why tonight we eat matzah, and all year we eat matzah or moreh. But the first question is, why are we dipping in twice? And really, if you look at that, you wonder in 1 second, shouldn't the first question be about the more important mitzvot of the Seder? Shouldn't it be a question about the matzah versus bread, moreh versus avocado or any other vegetable? Why is it that we start the Seder with a question which is the least valid, so to speak? A question about dipping, which the old dipping is really just a custom. So our sages tell us, the Rebbe spoke about it, that the night of the Seder, the emphasis is not only on what we have to do, but also about the customs, which the customs of the Torah, the customs of Judaism, is not something we had to do. This is something that because of our excitement to be a part of it, we created and developed all kinds of practices to make it nice, to make it, familiar, to give it some spice. That's what a custom is. That's what custom is sometimes more important than halacha. Because the custom develops our personalities and our outlook into those existing mitzvot. Take, for example, what is the most joyful holiday of the year? Simchas Torah. Dancing and singing and hopping. And it doesn't say anywhere in the Torah that I want you to dance tonight. And it's not even a rabbinic commandment to dance. It's least than lighting Hanukkah candles and less than any other mitzvah that you are familiar with. Why is that the center of excitement? Why is there so much joy there? Because it's a custom. And the customs were meant to really develop us as a people and the experience of our Torah. The custom is you finish reading Torah. You want the next generation to learn. You want next year to learn again. Be happy about it. If you're not going to dance tonight on Simchas Torah, your kids look at you and say, oh, thank God it's over. Oh, another year again. And that's how their approach to Torah will be. It's always going to feel like a load. You know, a load is, in Yiddish, a pekel. A pekel that I have to schlep. Oy, genug schein, as Arnold likes to say. Genug schein. Enough. Not enough. I finished. I'm happy that I finished, and I'm happy because I'm starting right away again. Bereshis bara Elokim. This is the nature of things. What is the nicest Kiddush through the year? David. Shavuos. Why Shavuos? Because we have dairy. Does it say in the Torah that you have to have dairy? No. Do you have to have ice cream? No. You don't have to have any of this. So why are you so excited and you make ice cream and you invite people and you make sure everybody's having a good time? Because you want to, it's a custom. And the custom is to express our excitement that God gave us a Torah at Sinai. We are not burdened with that. We are happy with that. We are ready to have our body also join the celebration by giving him some goodies, sweets, and ice cream, and whatever chazarai it likes. As long that you are happy, why not? That's what we want. That's exactly what we want, trying to accomplish. That's what we want to do. So basically, the important thing is that how we express our experiences and the excitement we show. Take for another thing, the hiding of the afikoman. Why is it so important to hide the afikoman? So we know that a part of it is to get the kids, try to keep them up. It's a long night. You don't want them to fall asleep. So you want to wait. They're going to wait for the matzah, the morah. Hopefully they can hang out and do all the rituals of the night. But really, it's not just that. There is also the part that we are all looking for something. It's hidden. Let's find it. Let's put it away and let's try to find it. So when you're putting the effort to find it, you identify with it much more than if it was just presented to you on a golden platter. Because you had to search, and it was a competition. Who find, you find, I don't know where it is. And it's, yes, on a technical point, it is just a game. But when you go older and you start thinking about it, you said, yes, the matzah is important. It's something we are searching for. It's something that we are looking for. It is covered. We're going to try to uncover it. It is hidden. We're going to try to reveal it. And that's what gives the home and the Seder experience and the life around Judaism a spice, a joy, a enthusiasm, which is everlasting, and something which, will continue to burn and to shine even in the future. So this is concept, an idea that goes around many different part and aspects of our Jewish experience. And perhaps the same thing is here. You're giving birth to a daughter and you are experiencing that downfall from birth into becoming just so-called regular. You want to transmit that message of that loss that you had when you finish so-called the process of giving birth. So you give it not just a week. I'm going to give it 2 weeks. So my daughter knows how exciting it was to give birth. and how depressed I felt after I gave birth, that 2 weeks it took me to get back to myself. It took me 2 weeks to get. The boy is anyway not giving birth, so 1 week is enough for him to see what's going on. But for the girl who is herself going to become a mother, let her see what I felt. 2 weeks, I could not get back to myself. I was tummy, I was not clean for 2 weeks because of that feel. Oi, here I was giving birth, I was carrying a baby, now what am I? Just a regular person like everybody else. Let the daughter know about it, and that will further intensify her desire to go through that experience of becoming a mother, of giving birth. Obviously, we know that those girls who are running to have children, most of the times is because when they were still little fetuses in their mother's womb, they felt and they sensed the excitement of being there. And those children who are born, and God forbid, are constantly in a struggle with giving birth, is because, unfortunately, there was an impact of them while they were in their mother's womb. They kept on hearing, oh, look at me. Look how ugly I look. Look how blown up I am. Nothing fits me anymore. I can't go into any dress. Look at my face. Look at my cheeks. I'll look disgusting. I can't look pretty anymore. I feel the stretches, the marks, and this and that. The little baby heard that. I know there was a movie I once heard about called, what is that called? Home Alone? No. Who is Talking? There's like a baby in its mother's womb, and it hears a whole conversation of its parents about him and about life. I don't know the name. I just remember that it was very funny that, that they were visualizing the concept of the reality which takes place, really. Today, we all know that doctors in the medical field, they all admit to it and talk about it, that when you're pregnant, the importance of making a good atmosphere and singing to the baby, and they're making all kinds of, who don't ask, it's probably all religions soon going to be around it, that you can have everything to do with a fetus which wasn't even born yet. I'm not talking about the negativity, obviously, of smoking and drinking and other bad things, which unfortunately has an impact on the fetus, this we know, but I'm talking even mentally. The positive feel, the excitement, the simcha has a tremendous impact. This is while the baby's in the stomach. How much more when the baby comes out, and this is what the Torah wants us, that the baby should know when she comes in age, that I waited 2 weeks. I was tummy, not a week. 2 weeks. And I waited 66 days to be able to get to the temple because I was still so down on myself why I don't have this experience anymore. That shares the excitement which a mother has by giving birth. That shares and further delivers the message of the happiness a woman has by giving birth, that she's partnering with Hashem in bringing new souls into the world. Because like we saw before in the Passover Haggadah, it is the exciting things which leave a lasting impression. This is the order. It is the dipping that we ask first. It is the searching of the Afikoman. It is always the customs and the traditions and the so-called, the unnecessary perhaps, but very necessary to deliver a message, to make the message alive. Customs make it. In Judaism, there's nothing like a custom to bring home the message, to make it a part of reality. And same thing is in everything else. So that's it for now, my friends. I think that something to think about for sure. If me explained it all, maybe not, but at least it's some food for thought. And I want to wish you all this not too far from Pesach, a little more than 2 weeks, and we are going to have Seder Friday night. So make sure your house gets ready by getting rid of all the chametz, and make sure that you are welcoming Pesach. If anybody needs a Seder, obviously we have a beautiful Seder in the Torah Center, matzah, everything that you need to get in order, do it now. So you should be prepared to celebrate Pesach. Make sure you get rid of the chametz, whatever chametz you're going to keep in storage, put it on a contract. I know a very nice guy who is looking every year to buy our chametz, and he can't wait to be able to afford it so he can really keep it. But so far, so good. And this is our friend Bernardi online on the class. And again, wishing you all a good week, a good Shabbos, a happy Shabbos. There's going to be a very special Kiddush this Shabbos, surprise, not telling you what, but we continue the celebration. Now, if you want to talk, you can lift up your unmute yourself, and you can be unmuted and say whatever is on your mind for as long that you want. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And see you on Shabbat time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Say
Yeah.
so. I'm sure I'm gonna try to be there.
Exactly.
I'm definitely gonna try to be there. What else? Anybody? Luba, where are you? You still in Miami? How long? That's it? You moved for good? Huh?
I'm not in Miami, I'm in Sarasota.
Where?
Sarasota.
Sarasota. No.
Not bad.
What's in Sarasota?
Everything is okay. Quiet.
Very good.
Warm.
Are you coming for Passover or are you staying there?
No, I will come, for the good weather. So before that, I will not go. So I'm waiting for the good weather in Washington.
It's not coming.
For
So
the summer. For
it's not
summer.
going to be. So you have to stay in Sarasota.
Yeah. So
For second Pesach.
It's still cold.
Yeah,
don't
probably
come,
on
it's cold.
second Pesach will be weather better.
Very good. What else? Where are you going to be Pesach? Did I say that? There's a Chabad there?
Yeah. Yeah, the Chabad, our Shlomo Schmerling, know you very well.
Uh-oh. What does he know about me?
He said that you're the big scientist in the Jewish, by the Jewish law and everything. I mean, he was so excited. Said, "Oh, you are from Seattle?" I said, "Yeah." So
Tell it to Arnold. Tell him he should know who he's dealing with. He thinks
no, really. So he was telling the entire community during the, during the lunch, during the. So that's if he has some question, very serious question about Rabbi Farkash. So and he said, the Liba is so lucky to be in the shul and be in taking classes. I said, yeah, I'm trying to come into the classes still. So, and he's now in Washington, D.C. to celebrate 120th birthday of the Rabbi.
right. Sounds good to me. Very good. Very good. Any other good news? That's it. Arnold, what's on the agenda? Any birthdays? Any bar mitzvahs, wedding? What's going on?
We've had quite a few of them recently, so
Now you're relaxing a little, taking a break.
relax. Well, you know,
You get
Karen
this
and I on Sunday, Karen and I are going to Oregon for a week.
a week.
Uh-huh.
That's nice.
Where in Oregon?
Who's gonna clean up your ass for Pesach if you're not gonna be home? Very good.
Where in Oregon?
Klamath Falls.
It's a secret destination. We don't want you to come there.
Already said Klamath Falls.
Huh?
Huh? Have you been? Huh?
I've been to Klamath Falls.
What is that?
Oh,
Where-
it's our first time. I hear it's very pretty there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rabbi, do you remember other day you gave the donation to Rabbi Wolf in Odessa
Yes.
couple years ago, and I gave it to him. So, and yesterday I was listening his brother, who is also the rabbi in
It's
Kherson.
Kherson. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he was telling about the situation in Kherson, and he is super brave rabbi. He
He's
did
still
not
under-
leave.
He's
Did
still
you
under the
leave?
Russian siege.
He's over there and he's helping his community, the Jewish community, delivering food. And a couple times he was in a very dangerous situation, but even a Russian soldier respect him very much. So, and let him go and let him get a humanitarian help and help the community. And yeah. Because
know,
he was
I'm
in
in
a
contact with them.
situation and
I'm in contact with them. God should watch over him.
yeah.
He needs to be watched. They all have to be watched.
Hmm.
Hashem should help them
How
all.
many are left? I mean, most of them have left, right, Rabbi Farkash? I mean, the one we heard of, the one I had on 2 occasions on the west side near the Russian border, are the Solvi, I think, which was right near to Russian border. I mean, not Russian border, the western side to I mean, the parts of Ukraine that became Russian.
No.
The,
you mean
oh,
like,
who's from
no, there is no more
from
Jews.
California,
There's almost
from
no Jews left
Santa
there.
Monica.
I mean, there's almost no Jews left there. Donetsk and Lugansk and this
No,
entire.
next to there, the rabbi I heard twice, the one who's from Santa Monica, I heard him talking.
The rabbi
about
from
it.
Sumi. Yeah.
And his wife, and did he get out in the end, or is he still
He get
there?
out. He get no,
he
he's
did
not
get
there.
out.
He can't be there. They are bombing it. He can't be there.
Yeah, so that he did get out.
Kherson is already taken by the Russians mostly. So I mean, they have fights inside the city, but they're not bombing it like they were bombing Chernihiv and Nikolaev and those places. Okay, guys, I will let you go. Thank you. Good night. I'll see you later. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laila
Thank
Tov.
you.
Keep
Thank
up the
you.
good work. Keep up the
Люба
good
и